It is a wonderful way to begin healing, which is what we are here tonight for. So please, without further ado, let's start the evening with Dr. Ben-Zur.
This evening is for somebody else, actually. Thank you all very much for coming. Did you ever think of how you got here tonight? I don't mean the 405 for World Fair. Speak into the mic. Sorry. Can you hear me now? No? No? So, would you like me to start over? Yes. Okay. Did you ever think of how you got here tonight? I don't mean the 405 for the World Show and getting lost like me. But I mean, what made you the sort of person that you are today? How did you become a physician or a lawyer? If you think about it, usually life is filled with fillers. Things that you do during the day. You go to work, come home, you sleep. Most of the day is filled with these events that don't really change you. But sometimes, once in a long while, you get something that motivates you or changes the way you think about things. And I'd like to share one of those experiences with you tonight. About 4 years ago, an 18-year-old girl came to my office. And she said that she was having rapid heartbeats and passing out for the past year. She was very, very scared. She'd seen 5 different physicians, and they all told her the same thing, that she needs an ablation done, procedure done to get rid of the rapid heartbeats. So I told her, I examined her, looked at her records, and told her that I agreed with everybody else. And as I was walking, making my way towards the door, she said, well, when are you going to do the procedure? I asked her, just somewhat puzzled, so quickly in 2 minutes you've decided that you want me to do the procedure? So she said, you know, my mom passed away when I was 9 years old of cancer. And before she passed away, she said, well, I don't really have anything, unfortunately, monetary to leave you. But I will leave you a pair of magical glasses. And with these glasses, you'll be able to look at people and see who they are from the inside. You're not going to look at their hair color or their skin color, but you'll see what type of people they are. And I think these glasses will help you more than anything else in life, so that when you meet a boyfriend or a potential husband or a lawyer or a doctor, you'll see what kind of person he is through these glasses. And looking at my mom's glasses, I'm looking at you, and I want you to do the procedure. So I was thankful. I wasn't really sure what it all meant. And I was more moved by the fact that she sort of raised herself from age 9. And I scheduled the procedure for the following day. The next day, everything went fine. Did successful ablation. She went home, and then at 2 in the morning, I got a 911 page. Never a good thing. It was her, and she was telling me that she felt like she was about to pass out. She was very dizzy, and her stomach was not feeling right. And that, in English, we think of very bad things. If she has a bleed in her stomach, she's probably going to die in a very short period. So I told her to call 911 and that I'd meet her at whichever hospital the ambulance took her to. She said, no way, I'm not calling 911. After about a minute of arguing with her, I realized that I wasn't going to get anywhere with her. And I said, fine, so where do you live? Rushed over to her house, And I have to say that my heart was beating like this. Got to her house, and she was pale, but she looked okay. And I examined her, and I realized that there was nothing really wrong. She's probably a little dehydrated after the procedure. Stomach pain was something that she'd eaten. And so I gave her some salty soup, raised her legs, and then about an hour later she was fine. She was walking around and nothing bad had happened. And that as I turned to go towards the door, she said, "So Dr. Ben-Zur, I think you were a little skeptical about my magical glasses. Now you see why I chose you?" And I went to the car, and it really changed me that moment. And I wish she'd given me those glasses about a year before. It would have probably prevented a lot of problems that had happened in my personal life. And so now I want you to take a minute and look to your right and to your left and see the people that are around you. See, there's one thing that unifies everybody here, is that you were invited through my magical glasses. You're all very special people to me, and I want to thank you for coming. There are a couple of people in leadership positions who I'd like to highlight. The first one is Mr. Dale Serowitz, Providence Tarzana Medical Center, and a very, very special human being, somebody who I've called at home at 2 in the morning, somebody who's loved by everybody in the hospital, and just an amazing person who really cares about the patients, no less than any other physician that I've met in my life. And if you've been to big hospitals, they have fancy equipment and thousands of beds, you may think that they have something over a smaller hospital with a caring CEO, but they really don't. And I would tell you to always choose Tarzana Hospital because of its CEO. And I wish somebody would have told me that years ago. And sometimes I feel like on the 6'2" billboard for Tarzana Hospital. I always tell people, you really should go there, trust me. And the second person, and the reason we're gathered here tonight, is to thank our mayor, the mayor of the great city of Los Angeles. And specifically, we have a lot of reasons to thank him, but specifically tonight, we're thanking him for his tremendous support of the State of Israel. Thank you so much. I can't imagine living in a world without Israel. For 5,000 years, as it says in our Haggadah, for 5,000 years in every generation, people have tried to destroy the Jewish people. For 5,000 years, except for the last 60 years, when there's been the State of Israel. And imagining a life without Israel, it's probably not worthwhile for a Jewish person to exist. Israel is a small country in a very, very tough neighborhood. It's the one place in the Middle East where you can proudly wear an American flag, and people, admire you for it. Everywhere else in the Middle East, I think the response would be very different. And our mayor realizes that, and realizes the importance of the State of Israel and its democratic principles. Over the past few years, Israel's been facing a barrage of problems, missiles being sent to its southern border almost on a daily basis, with little kids getting crippled and killed. And those little kids committed only one crime, the same crime that I've committed, and that is being Jewish. And a few months ago, I was looking at my television and said, you know, how is it that people are not screaming about this? People just, you know, have taken it as okay. And then the next flash was our mayor standing there in Sderot while the missiles are coming in on a daily basis, standing and saying, here I am. There's a very favorite verse of mine from the Bible, which says, Hineni. It's very, very powerful, because I'm here, which is what he said. I'm here with you. And that's why we're here tonight to say, Hineni, we're here with you. So when you look around and you look for a physician, think about Dr. Gang. When you look around looking for an attorney, think about somebody like Mr. Peter Rossino. Look at the people around you. These are the people that you should choose, because they're going to think about you and not their own self-interests. And then once every long while, you'll have the privilege and honor to support people like Mr. Surowitz. You'll have the privilege and honor to support people like our mayor. And once every 5,000 years, you'll have the privilege, honor, and duty to support the State of Israel. So hopefully, in the next year, we'll all be planning a vacation together with our mayor, with our CEO, to Israel. Shana Hava B'Yerushalayim. Thank you so much for coming.
I didn't have a chance to introduce myself. I'm an actress in Los Angeles and in Israel. I'm Efrat Lavi. Thank you. And as I mentioned before, a few things struck me when I met Dr. Uri Ben-Zur and his father, Mr. Naim Ben-Zur. And one of the most touching things was the deep relationship and the warmth between father and son, and their deep devotion to Israel and peace in the Middle East. Indeed, the reason we're gathered here this evening is to remind ourselves of the dream to make peace a reality in the Middle East. And we have a powerful ally in this regard, in the person of our own mayor, Mr. Antonio Villaraigosa. And he will speak presently after we see his video of his trip to Israel. The title of tonight's evening in the first version that I received said, "Tonight is about Los Angeles and Israel, honoring their past and embracing the future." Yet this future is not about you or me. It is about our children. My children are here tonight, Adam and Danielle. And it's about children, our children in Los Angeles and in Israel. And they deserve a better world where peace reigns. And so I would like to read to you a poem that touched me very deeply. And it was written by an Israeli girl from Beersheba named Tali Shuek. The title is "The Paint Box and it's about peace. The paint box. I had a paint box, each color glowing with delight. I had a paint box with colors warm and cool and bright. I had no red for wounds and blood. I had no black for an orphan child. I had no white for the face of the dead. I had yellow for burning sands. I had orange for joy and life. I had green for buds and blooms. I had blue for clear, bright skies. I had pink for dreams and rest. I sat down and painted peace. So I hope this poem inspires you to take one color or one little deed towards peace together. And let's go on with our next speaker tonight, Mr. Naim Ben-Zur.
Honorable Mayor of Los Angeles, Mr. Antonio Villaraigosa, Honorable Guest and Honor, Consul General of Israel, Mr. Yaakov Dayan, CEO Tarzana Regional Medical Center, Mr. Dale Sorovich, Consul General of Turkey, Hakan Tekin. Honorable friend and guest, a few months ago, the citizen of Israel had the privilege of hosting our distinguished mayor, Mr. Antonio Villaraigosa. During your visit, Mr. Mayor, you discovered the extent to which Israeli respect and value true friendship and genuine allies of our people. We were excited to hear you assert your support for the state of Israel and were impressed by your sincere word and your will to bring closer and connect the residents of this wonderful city that the entire world look up to, and the people of Israel who feel a deep appreciation for you, Mr. Mayor, and for our city as well. In my long years in this earth, I have witnessed many historical events in which Israel stood at the forefront, ahead of the United States and the entire West. This was the case in 1956, when Egypt, backed by advanced military equipment it had received from the Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War, using naval and air force, blocked the Suez Canal, the only maritime route between Asia, Africa, and the Middle East from one side, Europe and United States from the other. Despite opposition from President Eisenhower, and with only partial participation of the part of Britain and France, Israel embarked upon military campaign that none but her would dare undertake. At the end of which the Suez Canal was reopened, international marine traffic was renewed, and the world was spared the cutting off of East and West. This was also the case on June 7, 1981, when 14 Israeli Air Force planes went beyond any imagination, flying 700 miles over Jordan and Saudi Arabia and destroying the Iraqi nuclear plant that Saddam Hussein was constructing, not just threatening Israel, but endangering the entire world. This time again, President Reagan was opposite and denounced the action under Soviet pressure, but it was proven years later Saddam will not have been content with possessing nuclear, and this would have posed a threat to all of the free world were it not for Israeli daring and courage. Today, too, there is a country calling for the eradication of Israel from the map, of Israel from the map, Iran. And again, nuclear power this country is developing is not just a threat to the existence of the state of Israel. Iranian nuclear power would be distributed to every terror organization of the planet, including Al-Qaeda, and the means of destruction would threaten each and every free nation. Today, too, and very soon, so I believe, the state of Israel will prove once again its ability to become the vanguard of the endless battle against the forces of evil, and to stand among the guardian of the free world, as we say in Hebrew, Bor kara vayachpirehu, vayipol b'shach hatif'al, yipol amalo berosho, ve'al kodkodo hamaso yared. This is our country, and this is our destiny in our mission. This was but a few examples of our commitment and our loyalty to the value of the democratic world. Our heart yearns for peace, but we are also true allies willing to put our lives on the line for the state, and for our genuine friends, such as yourself, Mr. Mayor. This evening is intended to thank you and honor you, Mr. Biragos, but mostly to impress you with our love and praise that I am certain you will bear with you as you progress with your life to the higher offices awaiting you in the state of California. As well as on the United States federal level. My son, Uri Ben-Zur, tonight host, has also undertaken a calling to follow in the footsteps of the first great Hebrew doctor, Harmba, the extraordinary physician who lived 900 years ago in the spirit of the maxim. He who saved one person is considered as he has saved the whole world. And in Hebrew, Kol hamatzil nefesh mi Yisrael, כאילו ציל עולם מלא. Uri has dedicated his very existence to saving life of all faiths from all nations. When my son treats a Jordanian or Syrian patient, Hispanic or African American, he not only saves his life, but also brings hearts closer, counter prejudice, advances by more small steps our aspiration for peace, brotherhood, and friendship among all human beings. My life was saved thanks to Uri. On behalf of all his patients, I offer my thanks and gratitude for the noble vocation he has elected for himself. It seems that those destinies that the Honorable Mayor and my son have carved for themselves touched upon each other, bringing together distant and disparate world, building bridge of human understanding, making our planet better, giving themselves to create a better, more harmonious world. The world might not remember for long what we say here tonight, but in our heart of hearts, we will never be able to forget what these two great men have done for our people and our community. And now let us celebrate the bond between the Israel and Los Angeles community. Thank you very much for coming.
I heard tonight, as I hope you all did, Many times the word thank you, toda. And in the Jewish tradition, we pray in the morning as we wash our hands to begin the day, and we say, Modeh ani lefanecha. I won't complete the sentence, but that is enough, which means thank you, Lord. And I think that this evening, thanking all of those who have come forth for this noble cause of peace for Israel and the Middle East already is a beginning of a positive turn. Because as soon as you say thank you, you feel a positive turn of events. So I hope this feeling of gratitude we will all carry with us when this evening ends, when we go off into traffic. Remember, thank you, traffic. A good thought. And next, I would like to invite our Consul, General Consul of Israel, our Consul General of Israel, Mr. Yaakov Dayan, to speak to us tonight.
I know that, good evening everyone. I know that I surprised you tonight because in the program it's written that my deputy is supposed to speak. And he's an excellent speaker, by the way, so I hope I can fill his place. I just came back from Washington, D.C. and from New York, spending a few days with the foreign minister. And maybe before I'll tell you about what I heard in Washington, D.C., just again, I want to mention, I know many of you, but two special guests or three special guests that are here. First and foremost, Yafa and Michelle El-Harar. Where are you, Yafa and Michelle? Those remarkable people lost their daughter in a terrorist attack. A suicide bomber with a car blew up his car in Afula one day, and their daughter lost her life. And since then, they are determined to make the world a better place. They are helping day and night families in Israel, families that lost their children, their beloved ones, doing amazing work. And on behalf of the State of Israel here, and on behalf of the of all the wonderful community that is here, I thank you. Thank you very much. And the dear Consul General of Turkey, thank you for being here. Such a significant country. Such an important country in the Middle East, and definitely a strategic partner of the State of Israel, and definitely a country that presents a different model of a Muslim country. A moderate Islam that can share, that can cooperate, and can definitely bring a different future to the Middle East. So thank you for representing such a strong partner of the State of Israel and being here tonight. Thank you. Now, maybe before telling you why I feel so good after what I heard in Washington, I'll touch in maybe one story, the main issue that we are dealing now, unfortunately, and Naim Ben-Zur just mentioned the Iranian issue. And you know that the Obama administration is going to engage with the Iranians. And I heard, and I was surprised, I heard a story in Washington that actually the Bush administration already engaged with Iran, and the story is following. After Ahmadinejad visited the UN in New York, the United Nations, he called President Bush and he told him, you know, I had an amazing dream and I have to share it with you. So Bush was surprised, but he said, go ahead. He said, I was flying again above New York and I saw the wonderful building and I saw signs and signs, and on all the signs it was written, United States of Iran. So Bush was telling him, listen, I had a better dream than that. I was flying above Iran. Everything was green. The sun was shining. The people were outside in the streets. It was a beautiful day. And I saw so many signs. So Ahmadinejad, the Iranian president, asked him, so what was written on the signs? So Bush answered, I don't know. I cannot read Hebrew. But I promise you, because it's a night of celebration, of such a great friend of the State of Israel, the only thing that I'm going to speak about is the strategic partnership and cooperation between the United States and Israel. It's a strategic partnership that is built on different layers. The obvious layer is the shared values that all of us share, the democracy, the freedom of speech, and all the other well-known issues. The second tier is the military cooperation, and really the military cooperation between the United States and Israel is a remarkable story. And again, I won't come to this story, but I want to speak about the upper floor. The upper floor that for me, people like Dr. Ben-Zur and the mayor of Los Angeles, Antonio Villaraigosa, my dear friend, are representing. And this is really the level and the floor of the strategic cooperation. When we go to green technologies, and when we go to the innovations and to homeland security, things that touch the daily life of an average Israeli, the things that touch the daily life of an average American, and they make their life a better place. The mayor, I was fortunate to go with the mayor to Israel in June this year. And I spent with him day and night for 5 days, 6 days. And I saw how resilient he was and how determined he was to go to Sderot and to make this point that I'm not afraid and I'm here to prove that I'm representing the American people and I'm a friend of the State of Israel. And he was saying that when he walked in the streets of Jerusalem, and he did that when he went to Yad Vashem, and he did that when this mayor was the first mayor in the United States to raise the Israeli flag in Los Angeles outside the consulate. And for his friendship, and for his love, and for his support, we owe him a big, big thank you. Thank you. And the second side of this strategic partnership or strategic cooperation represents, for me at least, Dr. Ben-Zur, an Israeli doctor that makes the life of the Angelinos here much better. And when he does that on a daily basis, He helps the state of Israel, and he supports the state of Israel. And he could have stayed his physician, enjoying his life, but he decided that he is going to be proactive and support the state of Israel as much as he can from here. And because of you and many others, this strategic cooperation between the United States and the state of Israel is being stronger and better on a daily basis. So thank you very much for doing that. And I want to end with a story. A story that, for me, is a story about the mayor of Los Angeles, about Dr. Ben-Zur, and it's a story about a small child that 60 years ago, exactly when the state of Israel was re-established, went to celebrate in New York the establishment of the state of Israel. He went to the Madison Square Garden with his father, and when he reached the Madison Square Garden, the gates were closed. So he was holding the hand of his father, waiting for the gates to be opened. He waited and waited for hours. And eventually, the gates opened. And the little guy left the hand of his father and ran all the way to the front row. He ran and ran and ran. And when he reached the front row, he saw there his father. He was amazed. He asked his father, "How come? I'm so young. I ran all the way, and still you are here before me? How did you do that?" And his father looked at him and he told him, "I was not running by myself. I was running with my parents. I was running with my grandparents. I was running with the entire Jewish people. I was running with the mayor Villaraigosa, and I was running with Dr. Ben-Zur. And this is why Israel will prevail. And this is why Israel will win." So thank you very much for your friendship and for your love. Thank you.
I see more and more hugs, so feel free to hug a lot. Our next speaker is a wonderful friend and supporter of Dr. Uri Ben-Zur and the Cardiovascular Institute, a man who is close to the Ben-Zurs in work and in ideals. He is the wonderful CEO of Providence Tarzana Medical Center, Mr. Dale Zorowich.
Good evening. I don't have to tell all of you that we live in very difficult times. You don't have to look too far. You can look in your bank accounts, you can look in your stock portfolios, you can look on the nightly news, you can look all over the world on the internet, and you can see that we live in challenging times. Whether it be economically, socially, it's difficult out there. And from my perspective, there's a few things that I think we really need to do as a community. And that is to have faith and to have passion. One such individual that you can put your faith and passion in is Dr. Ben-Zur. Dr. Ben-Zur, I can tell you from firsthand experience, is a remarkable individual and an incredible physician. We have at Tarzana 920 doctors on our medical staff, and there are very, very few that exhibit the passion and the dedication and the caring of Dr. Ben-Zur. His patients, I can tell you, come first and foremost. There are times in the middle of the night, as he mentioned, he is there. He gets there many times when patients have a heart attack and need to have a cardiac catheterization or need to have a procedure done. Even though he may drive a little ways, he's going to get there before our call crew comes in. He's going to be there to help patients. He will stay with them as long as it takes to make sure that they are cared for appropriately. He assures that his patients do well, and he is a truly dedicated individual, and he shows the faith and the passion in both his convictions, in his spirit, and in his abilities, and he makes sure that things get done. That same passion and dedication that he shows to his patients, many of you are here tonight in support of his homeland, Israel, to make sure that that same passion and dedication is there to continue on and to make sure that Israel continues and thrives. We are also blessed in this city to have an outstanding mayor with faith and passion. Mayor Villagrosa, honorary doctor. Mayor Villagrosa is a tremendous friend to the San Fernando Valley, tremendous friend to the entire city of Los Angeles, and as you've heard this evening and seen, a tremendous friend to the state of Israel. Faith and passion is also what many of us that have been at Tarzana have had to have over the past 4.5 years. Many of you may know that the hospital has been for sale, and many of our 920 doctors and 1,200 employees had the faith and passion to stick it out, to stay through it. And their dedication and support has been rewarded. We were purchased by Providence Healthcare, and the plan is to invest about $300 million in the hospital and to continue to support the care and the entire community of the San Fernando Valley. And for that, I'm very proud, and I'm very appreciative of our doctors and our employees. And again, the community had that same faith and passion to stay with us, and it will be rewarded for years to come in the care of our community. We also need to share that faith and passion for Israel. We must support Israel, whether that be through tzedakah, whether that is through visiting Israel, supporting it in any way we possibly can. It is a mitzvah for us to do so. And we must come together and support Israel. I think Dr. Ben-Zur said it. We, as many of us as Jews, we must be supporting Israel and make sure that it thrives, that it grows, and that it's there. So I thank all of you for coming here this evening and supporting this cause started by Dr. Ben-Zur and his passion and dedication, because without it, we will not have that level of support. We must come together to do so. And it's an honor for me to be here this evening and even to be involved with Dr. Ben-Zur and our outstanding mayor. And again, I wish you all the best and continue to support whatever faith and whatever passion you have. We can move mountains, but we can't do that unless we come together and support our causes together. So, Toda Rabah. Thank you.
There are no words necessary. I only wanted a hug.
Thank you, Efrat. The power of a hug. Let me begin, and I do have some prepared remarks tonight. But let me begin by saying that when I walked in and was greeted as warmly as I was today, and as I've been so many times when I'm in groups all over the city, not just groups of Israelis or Jews, but so many groups throughout this city that I call the city of America's hope and promise. I was lifted by the generosity of spirit. And then I got to hear Yuri speak about the heart and about the ability to see the soul. And he spoke so softly at first, and we were all having a difficult time hearing him. And then, even though he only raised his voice slightly, we all became enthralled by the generosity of spirit, by the warmth, by his message of love and acceptance. And let me say to you, Yuri, thank you for sharing that love, that acceptance of humanity that you shared with us today. I think we were all, it's rare that we come to a dinner and are asked to look to the left and then to the right and hug someone. But then to tie that with this wonderful message of embracing that Dr. Ben-Zur and his father and the whole family represent. And so I want to thank you for honoring me here today, and thank all of you, his friends, who he sees through these, not rose-colored glasses, but these glasses of depth and perception. Thank you for being here, for supporting this family, for supporting the Cardiovascular Institute. I want to thank my friend, Consul General Yaki Dayan, who is my friend. I define friendship by those who will call me when I don't have a big job anymore. And I will call you when you don't have a big job anymore. And you will call me. And we have bonded with our first High Holidays dinner for Yom Kippur back a year ago, and then over the months and year that you've been in this job, and our trip to Israel, which solidified our friendship with my children and my family. And thank you, Consul General, as well, for being here and for supporting the Institute and this family. And some might think it's strange that a Latino and a Catholic with no obvious connection to Israel would stand up as often. And I have not just stood up in the few years that I've been mayor. I was there, and I've stood up many times as a council member when I first got elected to the State Assembly in 1994, and all through the years when I stood up in the legislature and called on companies who had done business with Nazi Germany to recompense and provide compensation for the victims of the Holocaust. Throughout the years when I've been to Yad Vashem for my third time, but even before that, when every year since 1994 I've been at either Pan Pacific or the Museum of Tolerance to remember during Yom HaShoah. And I tell people it all began in the neighborhood I grew up in. It was not an Israeli neighborhood. It was a Jewish neighborhood, a Mexican neighborhood. In fact, it was a progenitor of what LA would be. When I grew up in Bow Heights, it was changing already. It was the 1950s, but it still was a community where Jews and Mexicans and Japanese and White Russians and small African American community lived side by side, and actually, you know, didn't just live insulated from one another, but lived and interacted among them, each other. And for me, that experience as a young man, and you know, this was the 1950s and 60s, you know, LA wasn't as open to Jews, to Latinos, to immigrants as it is today. And you know, it was a time I remember full well that the few who would reach out to me were almost all Jews. They were almost all Jews. And so that experience with Jews as a young boy, the experience that my mother had because she grew up in Bow Heights as well, she taught us about the Holocaust, the most heinous event in the history of humankind. She taught us as well about what America had done to blacks with slavery and discrimination for 400 years. The Japanese lived next to us, and so she shared with us what America did to the Japanese during World War II. And it was those relationships as a young man that gave me this sense of solidarity, this sense of connection to Jews and the Jewish people, and then over the years and later to Israel. And now as mayor, I can tell you that I've come to see the many connections that we have here in the city. I don't have to tell you, and you've heard me say on TV, and I like to say it because I think it's important to acknowledge that LA is the city of America's hope and promise. It's a city where the world comes together. 37 different nationalities that have the largest population here outside of the country of origin. You know, the largest Persian population outside of Iran, largest Armenian population, largest Filipino population, largest Korean population, and of course, the largest Israeli population outside of Israel, largest Mexican population, and the list goes on and on. And I remember in every election I've ever been in, as I began to reach out beyond my own community, as we all do, you start with the community you come from, and then you reach out and you try to build, you know, connections with others. It was always the Jews, always, who were willing to maybe open up their door, to listen, to hear me, to see beyond my, you know, ethnicity, my whatever, you know, barrier might exist. And it was always this community that was embracing of me. I remember the 2001 election, and in that election I lost, but one that I enjoyed profoundly because I knew that I was opening up a door. And it was a door that the Jews, frankly, on the west side and in the valley primarily, really were the most open to my candidacy. And the second time, the whole city was open. But it was this community, first and foremost, that was there. And the connections that we share, and they were mentioned, the connection between the city that has the largest Israeli population outside of Israel, the fact that we're a hardy people here in Los Angeles. This is a city where you know, nothing's handed to you, but if you work hard, you can make it, no matter where you come from. The people don't judge you based on your religion or your ethnicity or your race. You know, people just say, do it here. And that's, anybody who's been to Israel knows that's what Israel is like as well. We're both, Los Angeles is a city that blooms today out of a desert, and Israel is a country that blooms from desert as well. And our connection between both the Israelis that live here, the Jews that live here, but also the freedom-loving people that live here, is one that is unbreakable. It is a connection that cannot and will not be broken. And I remember on my first visit to the wall, and I said this in that passing interview, you don't have to be Jewish to feel connected to God when you touch that wall. You don't have to be, you don't have to feel a connection to others, to the Jewish people, but to humanity when you pray at the wall. And over the years, I've come to feel stronger and stronger about this connection. And I recognize there are those, and you know, I'm in a world, I just, my good friend Yaki Dayan just told me that Ali Moyal was not re-elected as mayor of Sderot. And you know, obviously I believe in the democratic process and respect the will and the vote of the people, but this was a man who I saw over the 2 years that I've developed a relationship with him on the telephone and in the papers, and a man who spent his every waking moment standing up for the people of Sderot. And for me, that connection with people like Ali Moyal, with our new, with our foreign minister, Tzipi Livni, with former Prime Minister, with all of the people, you know, with President Shimon Peres, with all of the people, with the many consul generals that I've developed a relationship with now since 1994, been such that for me, this friendship is not just a friendship of convenience. It is not just the friendship of a politician, you know, searching for votes. It's one embedded over a lifetime of working with and benefiting from the friendship I have with the Jewish people. And so I thank you for acknowledging me tonight. I am honored that you would do that. But I want you all to know this is not just a passing moment for me. When you look at Israel and what it means, not just to an area of the world that has historically been a area of conflict and war, but an area that is the birthplace of humanity and civilization, and one that, in my mind, the key to the future, to the peace, is the support of Israel. And I stand with you for the proposition that there can be no peace in the Middle East until there is a recognition of the right of Israel to exist, until there is a willingness to accept Israel's right to have one place. And I'd like to think there are two, this one. But the one place that the Jews can call their homeland, that the Jews can say, this is our place in the world. And so I thank you for acknowledging me tonight. I had a very beautiful speech to give, but when you began this night with a message from the heart, I thought I would repay it with one from my heart. Thank you very much.
The award.
Oh, the award.
Por favor.
Just real quick, when I was 6 years old, my parents told me, we're going to give you a blessing, tell you that for the rest of your life, every day you'll be able to do a good deed for the community, for your community. In Hebrew, tiskele mitzvot. So I'm going to tell you tonight, tiskele mitzvot for all the good deeds that you do for our community.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hail at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous skies over the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air. Say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave over the land of the free and the home of the brave? Thank you.
Kolot balevav penima nefesh Yehudi homia with this, we conclude our evening. I want to thank everyone. Toda, muchas gracias, and hope you have a wonderful trip home with no traffic.